Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs. And the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Welcome to the bottom half preview.
The 2022-2023 Premier League season already around the corner.
Just around the corner. It's coming fast.
2 weeks from today, right? It's kickoff. Because next week's the top half preview, and then it's Arsenal Palace that Friday.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. August 5th.
Yes, sir. Are you excited more for Arsenal Palace or the game following at 6:30 in the morning our time of Fulham and Liverpool?
That's going to be a doozy.
That's
personally, I look forward to.
That's going to be.
It seems like United plays Tottenham at 6:30 every year, and they draw.
Except when
1-1.
Swansea was up, it felt like Man U played Swansea the first week like 3 years in a row.
Yeah. Maybe we just like get stuck on 1 year and it like glitches forward 3 years and we're like, that game happened 3 times already.
Yeah.
They're like, no, that game's never happened.
Well, we talked about how on last pod how the Man U Brighton game at Brighton, that was like the second to last game of last year. Now it's like the first game of this year.
Yeah, they said run it back.
Yeah, it's an instant classic.
They're like, okay, embarrassments. United getting trashed by Brighton. Add that one to the list.
Yeah.
Palace stomping Arsenal. Add that one to the list.
Yeah, it's their revenge for the big teams and small teams.
Possibly, or just double the embarrassment.
It could be that way, perhaps.
Perhaps. Well,
let's get to some possible embarrassments.
Yes, we've been cooking this up in the lab, hard at work, doing our research, preparing, ready to give you the best analysis for the upcoming season.
To break down how we come up with our list, me and Sam each devise a Premier League table for the upcoming year, and we average out each team's position, where they slot. We do a little quick maths.
Yes.
And guess what? We get this table.
2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths.
Last year, 6 out of 20 spots, exactly correct. Not amazing, but still impressive nonetheless.
We're going for 8 this year.
Yeah. The bottom 3 were spot on.
Yep.
Got Southampton right. We got Chelsea and City right. This year, we're going to get at least 7. We're shooting for 8.
Shooting for 8. Why not all of them, honestly?
Yeah. Well, let's kick it off.
And it's got to be said, just a quick note.
Yes.
Surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, because we share similar opinions, but our tables were very similar.
Yeah.
Without any,
well,
we didn't
how
discuss
it was
it.
last year
we
too.
didn't discuss it. We just each made our own, and then we brought them together, and it's like, this looks pretty close.
I think that the most last year and this year that we had a team off was by like 3 spots, and typically it's that like 12 to like 9 range, because those teams are very interchangeable.
Very interchangeable, yeah.
Yeah. We're talking like Villa, West Ham, Brighton. Yeah, those teams. They're could go either way.
Yeah.
What can't go either way is the bottom half of the table.
Bottom half of the table. Starting at number 20, the Cellar. Fulham.
Yeah. I don't like this team very much.
They scored a lot of goals in the championship.
They won the championship last year.
And they won the championship, but we think that they're going to be rock bottom.
Yeah.
They got a few good players. Mitrovic scored like 45 goals or something last season.
Yes. He broke records.
Broke the championship record.
Mm-hmm.
They've got former Red, Harry Wilson.
Distributing the ball out there.
They've got young Tosin leading the line at the back.
Tosin, not Cenk Tosin. Mr.
No,
Tosin, Adarabioyo.
One Tosin goes, another Tosin comes.
Yes. Personnel breakdown, typically 4-2-3-1 out of Mr. Marco Silva. Possession, not too much. I mean, that's kind of how it goes for a lot of teams that hold possession. It's like once you get to the 75%, a lot of times that's not going to work out in your favor. Not super dynamic tackling team or intercepting team. They don't really have that ball winner last year. But key addition, Paulinho. There's your ball winner right there.
Mm-hmm.
Big-time tackler. Big-time interceptor of the ball.
Big signing for Fulham.
Yeah, about 20 million pounds or so. Mr. Pereira for Manchester United. Been bouncing around on loans. We'll see how he sticks. It was relatively cheap, like 10 mil or so, maybe a little less, but I don't know. Not a guy you really want to be over-relying on.
Yeah.
Heavily rumored right now with Mbabu from Wolfsburg and then Solomon from the Wax Tap. And your guy Bernd Leno, who I thought that was official. That's not even necessarily
Arsenal
close.
are holding Fulham's feet to the fire. They're like, we want 10 mil. And then Fulham's
I
like...
thought he was a free agent.
No, I think he's got 1 year left. Arsenal's like, we want 10 mil. Fulham's like, no, 9 mil. And then Arsenal's like, no, 12 mil.
Yeah. Arsenal too greedy.
Meanwhile, Bernd Leno is like, please, Mr. Arsenal, let me go to Fulham. And we're like, no, we need our money.
Yeah. Maybe he
He's a
shouldn't have
solid
been a
keeper.
bust.
He's better than Fulham quality, but he wants to stay in London. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's just nothing out there that screams major improvement to me about this team. And I don't know. It's something about these teams that come in, like Fulham and Norwich, that they can win the championship because they play this certain style and they just have better players than crap teams in the championship. But that play style doesn't necessarily translate to the Premier League because you don't have the quality of players that you do versus championship teams. You're playing Premier League teams.
Yeah, exactly. That I'm glad you touched on that point about Norwich because
it's the exact same thing.
Yes, very similar situation. We saw it last season where Norwich struggled the year after, just lighting up the championship. I expect this to be very similar from Fulham. When you get promoted, you can't just rely on that same performance that you had in the championship. You need to find some way to elevate your game.
Yeah, or
most
even
likely
just
in signings.
Yeah, a mix of that, and if you're not going to spend, you're just bound to have to play a different style, simply put, because you're not going to out Man City, believe it or not.
And what a drastic change when you go from the championship where you're a number one controlling games, and then you come to the Premier League where you're getting dominated. It's completely different.
Yeah, and one thing that is a key to success, sharp and clean against the poor teams. They got to take advantage of the small teams that they can play their style against.
Yeah.
Utilize the bit of Premier League experience that you do have. They do have some. Marco Silva's been around. Mitrovic has been in there with Newcastle and Fulham last time, so I have some, but it's like, yeah, my worry with them is that their defense is just, if you're going to be having to sit back more so than you did last year, I don't know. It just worries me because that defense is not very good.
Agreed.
Ceiling, basement. We have ceiling as 15th, basement obviously as 20th, and that's where we have them. My question, the main question, they had 4 wins last year and scoring 1 goal last year. How will the D and mid hold up, Sam? How? Because they're not going to be getting 2 goals every game.
Right. Yeah. You can't expect that same level of output that you had last season. So, I mean, maybe they still could have a couple additions coming in Mbabu and Bernd Leno.
Yeah.
That would raise the quality a bit, but whether it's enough, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
My big question for Fulham, can they score goals in the Premier League? Can Mitrovic actually succeed in the Premier League? He, last go-around, he was on the bench a lot, didn't really get into the team that much. I don't think he was a favorite of
Scott Parker.
But yeah, like we were talking about, very similar to Norwich. And Can Marco Silva prove himself as a Premier League manager? We'll see. We're doubtful.
He showed it at Hull for about a month and at Watford for a stretch, and then it kind of fell apart at Watford. He went to Everton and was not very good at Everton. And now he's back. Mm-hmm. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Moving
Here's
on.
20th.
Yeah. Moving on to team number 19, Nottingham Forest.
Sam's very down on Nottingham.
I am very down. I had them at 20th in my list.
Yeah, I brought Fulham down single-handedly. Last year, 4th in the championship, won the playoff on, I think they won on penalties in the first go-around, and then the actual playoff game they won on an own goal. Headliners, Dean Henderson, Jay Lings, Brennan Johnson. Sam's doing the Jay Lings right now.
Should be the thumbnail of this podcast.
It really should be. Wanini from Hertha Berlin, Union Berlin, the best Berlin, of course. Personnel kind of closed out the year hot with a modified 3-5-2. They were not very sharp to start last year, but kind of just rolled on through with that 3-4-1-2 bit of formation. I'll tell you what, when you watch highlights of this team from last year, it's like all counter tackles and all corner goals. Now, credit to the counter tackles. They turn teams over in midfield a bunch. But I don't know. You're not going to have as many mistake-prone teams in the Premier League. Now, don't get me wrong. There still will be, but I don't know. And another main thing with that concerns me is they lost their two main guys at winning the ball back in midfield, and Jed Spence and Mr. Garner. So, I don't know. That scares me a bit.
I think the one upside to that is that that's more of a similar play style that they'll have in the Premier League, trying to play on the counter.
True.
As opposed to like Fulham.
Yeah.
More so.
Trying to boss the game.
Bossing the game, yeah. They've gone out, they've spent
insane money.
Around £70 million so far, and the window is not over.
No.
They're still looking to add some more. Big one recently, signing Jesse Lingard on the free transfer.
Yep.
Like you said, Iwaniyi from Hertha Berlin. A couple of guys from Huddersfield. Omar Richards, the American.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's Chris Richards on Palace.
Omar Richards is an American too in spirit. We're all Americans in
We're
spirit.
all Americans.
Yeah, O'Brien and Toffolo add a little bit of definitely wing ability out there with Toffolo, and then O'Brien kind of just a ball winner in midfield. So it's almost like those guys are the main replacements for Jed Spence and Garner. But it's, with those signings, it's one of those things that I always like. It's like if you spot good talent in the championship, don't be afraid to just spend a little bit, bring that up. I think they got him for each 10 mil or maybe combined 10 mil, somewhere around there. 10
yeah,
to
I'm
20
a big
mil.
fan of getting guys from the championship.
Yeah.
Best bang for your buck,
To say the least.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Couple keys to success: the ability to mesh and ability, just straight up ability. Do they have the talent? They brought in plenty of guys, but is it quality over quantity?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if their ability to mesh, obviously they still have a good chunk of the summer to get, used to how they're playing. And it's not like that big of an overhaul, but it's a sizable overhaul.
But I mean, when you
guys.
say they have the rest of the summer, like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's enough. That's all you need. And then ability, it's like, are they just, do they have the talent? Are they good enough? We know what Henderson is. We've seen what Lingard can be at West Ham when he's playing all the time and he's kind of one of the main guys. I don't know if you're going to get that from him.
Right.
He is on a 1-year deal, so maybe the motivation, the contract year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I don't know. I'm a little higher on them, but I don't think that they're amazing. I had them at 18th, I think, in my thing. So, ceiling 14th, basement 20th. My main question: missing a few guys who played massive minutes last year and impacted ball winning. Spence and Garner. How do the replacements fare? That's going to be their main thing. I feel like, because when you're a team near the bottom, ball winning is so important. You saw that last year with Brentford so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how Brennan Johnson can perform in the Premier League. Had a great season last year. Got the contract extension this year. It'll be interesting to see bringing in so many guys. Does it take a few games before they start to click? Kind of like Crystal Palace last season.
Yeah.
The revamp coming in. And are those signings that they brought in, are they actually improvements to the team? Or are they just numbers?
Yeah. Only time will tell.
But I think there is the potential for it to turn out nicely, but it's also dangerous because if you spend 70 million pounds and then you go down right away, that's not great.
I'm
for the
afraid
future.
if they go down.
That's a little like Sunderland-esque.
Yeah, I'm afraid if they do go down. Speaking of the last team that we have going down, and I feel like this team just has potential to go higher. I'm just afraid to put them higher. I like their potential more than a couple teams ahead, but it is risky.
Yeah.
We're talking Leeds. Finished 17th last year, 18th this year. Headliners, Jack Harrison, Pat Bamford, Mr. Meslier, and Sinistera, the big signing from Feyenoord. Personnel, 4-2-3-1 under Jesse Marsch. Some fast-paced buzzing around the pitch. You know, your typical counter-pressing that you see. Just kind of overload the central of the park. And you're just running at him, Sam. You're just running right at him.
Live
Give me
and
the
die
ball.
by the high tempo, high intensity, win back the ball, press high up the pitch,
Immediately sprint forward with the ball.
gamble on it. And they're going for the heavy American /
Youth movement.
RB Leipzig / Salzburg, bringing in Aronson and Adams and Christensen, and then also Mark Roca from FC Bayern Munich. Keys to success, staying healthy. We saw that was a huge issue last season. Very thin squad. Pat Bamford injured for most of the year.
Yep.
Do you think they can stay healthy? Do you think they have a big enough squad?
I don't know if they necessarily have a big enough squad, but I feel like they're more inclined to stay healthy. I mean, part of it just comes down to, when, especially with soccer, there's certain guys that are more injury prone. It's one thing when it's like a broken bone and it's just like a freak thing like that. But if it's like reoccurring, like hammies and stuff like
muscle
that,
injuries.
then it's a bit of injury prone. I feel like some guys that they had that they now do not have were kind of like that, a bit more injury prone than just say bad luck. So are these guys more available? It's hard to say. In a vacuum, you would think yes, but who knows? But I don't know. They brought in a good amount of guys. 5 relatively big name guys. Roca's maybe not so big name, but I don't know. We'll see. I just feel like they didn't address the defense enough, even though they did bring in Christensen and Roca. I still don't feel great about their center back.
Yeah, center back, huge
Position.
issue for me.
That's where it's really sticking out to me. Ceiling, basement, we had ceiling 12th, basement 20th. I could see it going all wrong for Leeds, unfortunately. Can this quick retool work? We saw it with Palace. Palace was more of a rebuild. They really got rid of a bunch of guys. Leeds is more, we're selling 2 of our big guys and we're bringing in more guys than 2,
More
and they're going to be
direct
younger.
replacements.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I think I'm still concerned, one, about depth, because, they've sold their best 2 players, and they've brought in, like, 4 or 5. So, and they've loaned out a couple of young guys, like Cresswell and Shackleton.
Yep.
So, overall, I think they're pretty much about the same in terms of squad depth. And I think, in general, the replacements they have, Tyler Adams for Calvin Phillips, downgrade.
Yep.
Aronson for
Rafinha.
Rafinha, kind of downgrade.
Yeah.
And that was a team that just hung on with those guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of their attack is going to be heavy relying on Sinistera to create. He might be their new Rafinha, and Aronson might kind of almost be like a new dynamic that's more central in attack or opposite side of Sinistera if he goes out wide. But yeah, a lot of it's going to be relying on youth, and in one way that's exciting, and another way it's kind of dangerous too. But I don't know. I don't hate the guys that they're bringing in.
I don't hate it either. I mean, I like Aronson and I like Adams. Adams kind of worries me in terms of durability.
Yeah, he's
Seems
a little
like
smaller.
He's got injury issues in the past as well. But I think they can be good. It's just last season was so bad. It's hard to project
Take
them
that from your
too far.
memory. Especially we don't know about Marsh's style being successful quite yet. Yes, it kept them up. Yes, it was good in Austria. No, it wasn't good in Germany. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's a big gamble to put these many eggs in the Jesse Marsh basket.
Yeah.
You know, we saw him for like a month, and they're already going full, like, buying into the players that he wants to buy. So, I mean, hopefully for their sake it works out, but if it doesn't work out, it could be, pretty devastating for Leeds.
I hope they stay up because I like them more than a bunch of teams we're about to talk about.
I do too.
We all love Leeds. We all love Leeds. We all love Leeds. This, however, is not one of the teams that we would like to see Leeds stay up over because I would say they're about neutral. I like Bournemouth too.
Yeah.
Last year in the championship, first off, Bournemouth at 17. Last year in championship. Second, headliners, Phil Billing, Mr. Lerma, Dominic Solanke, Ryan Christie, Lloyd Kelly. Personnel 4-3-3 mixed with a little 4-2-3-1. Scott Parker's style kind of draws the other team in, play in space behind the team, but very, utilizing that space very efficiently, very close and compact. If you look at like the heat maps, a lot of the guys are like together on certain parts of the field and stuff, but not like super overload, not like Watford style last year. They just can't really press, but they had one of the best championships anyways last year, or one of the best defenses in the championship last year, so we'll see how well that translates.
Yeah, I liked what Scott Parker was doing with Fulham
Mm-hmm.
a couple seasons ago. I think he just didn't have the right personnel. That team was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was very bad.
Overall, I think Bournemouth has a pretty balanced squad. There's no one too amazing, but overall, I think they're pretty solid in each area.
Yeah.
Defense, midfield, and attack.
Their additions worry me a bit. I want to see a little more than Ryan Fredericks and Joe Rothwell.
Yeah, not crazy about that. That's
I
kind
hope
of
his name is Joe. I think it's Joe Rothwell.
the downside. They're not going the forced route of just splashing the cash. But, when you think of Bournemouth, they're a little more sensible, a little more balanced. They're not a huge club bringing in huge amounts of revenue. And that's kind of what I think of Bournemouth, what they'll succeed in being a balanced team. They're not going to be flashy. They're not going to go full leads and, go full attack and expose the defense. But I think overall they'll play kind of a composed style.
Now, Scott Parker's definitely I would consider him pretty pragmatic. He has his own system, but he's flexible with it.
Yeah, I think that's something we both enjoy is that despite being, a relegation tier club, when he was with Fulham, they were still playing some nice football.
Yeah, it didn't hurt our eyes as much in that second half of the year. Keys to success, Dominic Solanke making the jump and the defense holding up. I really like this midfield of Billing and Lerma.
Yeah.
And it has certain attacking components that I like with Christie, and I like the idea of Solanke. I've seen him before, and it wasn't very good, but sometimes after a couple of years in the championship, a lot can change a guy. Saw it with Pat Bamford.
And that's something to be said about Bournemouth as well. They have the continuity of this squad, over the past few seasons have been playing together. So that'll be nice going forward this season.
Ceiling, basement, 14th ceiling, basement, 20th. My question, why are so many people down on Bournemouth? I feel like everyone has them going down.
I think it's just not the flashy team. They're a little more sensible. They're not spending £70 million, but they play within their means.
Yeah. I just worry a bit about the depth, too. I'd question that. They don't have a very big squad.
Mm-hmm.
That worries me a bit. But,
yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Bournemouth before we wrap up number 17?
I was going to say something else about Scott Parker. Oh, the thing I like about Scott Parker is that, like you said, he plays pragmatic football. but it's not like when you watch Norwich last season try and play out of the back where it's just like terrible. You
Yeah.
know? Like we respect the ambition of trying to play, that kind of style, but not when you're so bad at it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think that's something Scott Parker does well.
Absolutely. Moving on. 16th. Brentford.
Yeah, a bit of a downgrade after last season's 13th place finish.
But I said this when they finished 13th. It felt a bit high, did it not?
It did. I mean, that slump they went through in the middle of the season was really bad, and they really caught form towards the end of the season to boost them up.
Last year, 13th. Headliners, Janssen, Norgard, Ivan, Toney. Personnel, mainly 3-5-2, but some 4-3-3 towards the end of the year. Don't know if we'll see that again because you don't have the likes of Eriksson out there to allow you to play that way.
Yeah.
Ball winning to the max with Norgard and Jensen out there. Defensive organization is fantastic with, now that they bring in Ben Mee, you have Janssen, Pinnock, Ayer, Ben Mee. Oof. And then taking advantage of set pieces and turning over the oppositions to create those chances are the main things that you think of when you think of Brentford. Some additions. Strakosha from Lazio to be a backup keep. Aaron Hickey, fullback, Scottish talent.
Yeah, I like that signing.
Out of Bologna. And Keane Lewis Potter, who's kind of like a cam, but it seems like he's more of a goal scorer than a cam. I don't know. He's a hybrid forward, we'll call him. We'll see, from Hull.
Overall, I like the ambition in that signing. One for the future.
Yep. Why don't you hit us with some keys to success, Sam? What is it going to take for Brentford to do well this year?
When Brentford were successful, most of it relied on Christian Eriksen. Obviously, that's not going to be there this season. But two, when Brentford were really succeeding...
Early in the year.
You think earlier in the year, and also some parts during the second half of the season that didn't rely so much on Eriksen, was when they were linking up all parts of the game, the defense to the midfield to the attack. A lot of times when Brentford were struggling, they were getting no cohesion out of the midfield and the forwards. It'd be Ivan Toney and Mbumo up top on an island getting very little service.
Yeah.
And when they did get service, there was nothing they could do because there was no overlapping runs from the fullbacks. But when they get that good service and guys are making runs, they like to use the wing backs. They like to get the crosses into the box. They can link up play really well. And they have that high level of potential in terms of attack. Yeah. It just wasn't always there last season.
Yeah, the system's definitely shown that it can succeed in the Premier League, and it's more about getting the right guys for Brentford. That's the main issue. Yeah. Ceiling, basement, 12th for the ceiling, basement, relegation zone. I think it's definitely potential. It's on the table. My question is, who's going to be the attacking presence in midfield? Because it's obviously not Norgard. Mm-hmm. Jensen, no, not really. I mean, it's not like you're playing Gudos back, your guy, the Iranian Gudos.
Yeah, shout out Gudos.
We saw obviously more of just a striker you sub on at the end of a game.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's it going to be, because I didn't see it last year, and I don't know if I see it in their signings unless it's Keane Lewis Potter.
Right. If he can make the jump, that would be impressive. But I don't think that's super likely, at least right off the bat. Another part you have, they didn't cash in on Ivan Toney. I was surprised. It seems like everyone's always looking for strikers. Mm-hmm. This season, it seemed like the interest was not as high.
They must have just not gotten anything above like maybe 20 or 25 mil. And at that point, you might as well just keep them. But
yeah,
I don't know, because the only team I really heard sniffing around was like Newcastle might bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and they probably didn't even offer that much. So if they even put together an offer.
Yeah, it seems like there's a few teams that could do with his services, but yeah. didn't hear too much in terms of that. Another guy would be like a Calvert-Lewin. It seems like there was always rumors,
Yeah.
but this summer seemed like it kind of dropped off. Maybe teams are more happy with their attacking options.
There's not a ton of teams that need strikers, but the teams that do weren't even rumored. Like West Ham wasn't ever rumored with Ivan Toney.
Yeah, that was a team that came to my mind.
They just got
well.
Broja, and today they signed Schmaka, the Shikamama.
Yeah, with the crazy neck tat.
Yeah, the anime Megan Fox, as you called it.
Avatar, Megan
Avatar.
Fox, yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Avatar
the blue-
anime.
The Blue People Avatar, not the good
Yeah.
show.
No. Yeah, anything else you want to wrap up on Brentford about?
Yeah, my conclusion is just how can they adapt to life without Ericsson? That's the key question. We have that large gap between the ceiling and the basement of 12th to basement because, let's face it, last season they played some really great games and they played some really awful games.
Would you say it was a breakdown of the first third was good, the middle third was terrible, and the last third was good? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think
But
that
it's
is
like,
fair.
can you repeat that last third and build off it without the guy who's the main catalyst for why it was good?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah, I think you need to look back at that first third and why were you successful?
How can we recapture that? Yes.
I mean, set pieces are huge for Brentford. The long throw-ins
Yeah.
were great.
I felt like Brentford held their own against big teams, but the main thing, it felt like they, for the most part, took care of business against the smaller teams too.
Yeah.
Moving on, 15th. This is a team I was thinking about it today, and I think we should just have lower.
Yeah, I think so. I don't like Everton at 15. We recently watched Everton get stomped by our local club, Minnesota United FC, 4-0. That's right, 4-0.
I mean, part of that is not even about Everton. Like Frank Lampard came out and said some of the guys aren't used to back four. Not used to back four. Have you ever fucking played in your life before? What do you mean you're not used to back four? I get you played a back three to close out the year last year, but what are you talking about?
Let me tell you about this revolutionary concept. You put 4 defenders at the back.
I mean, that was just wild.
Crazy.
I think we might have to move them down.
They are just
We'll
so
preview them
bad.
at 15, but I might move them at... We might move them to 17 and bump everyone else up.
I think one player encapsulates Everton, and it's Dele Alli.
Shit, I thought you were going to say Tom Davies.
Well, Tom Davies is pretty crap, but I don't really blame him for being crap. I think he's just crap.
Yeah, Dele Alli. All right, last year, 16th. This year, we have him 15th, but we very well may move them lower.
Yeah. Asterisks.
Yeah. Headliners, Pickford, Anthony Gordon, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Mr. Ducare, and they got James Tarkowski. Massive free signing right there.
Yeah. Or Michael Keane Part 2, question mark?
He probably won't be that bad.
Well,
Keane's
that's
own
pretty
goal.
hard to be that bad.
Did you see Michael Keane's own goal?
Yeah. He's terrible.
Personnel last year, 3-4-3 to end the year. Every formation was tried at one point. I'm not even kidding you. Like, any formation you could think of was tried at one point, whether it was Rafa or Fat Frank. Sit back, absorb pressure. Attack is very sparse, but very north and south, and pretty aggressive when they're in attack. I think that's fair to say. Is there really any other way to describe Everton?
No. Crap.
Lackadaisical.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of their players don't really care that much. And the ones that do care, there's like 2.
That was probably
maybe.
the funniest thing last year about Everton fans on like Twitter and stuff. They're like, Richarlison and Anthony Gordon care. It's like, yeah, that's 2 guys.
2 guys.
And I don't even think Richarlison really cares. I think he cares about himself.
I mean, there's a lack of quality and a lack of care. Overall, I think it's mostly lack of quality, but there
Yeah,
is
there's
kind of a
definitely a
general
lack
sense
of-
of lack of care.
Yeah, there's no identity with this team right now.
Yeah,
They're hopelessly adrift at sea.
that's a good way to put it.
Additions, James Tarkowski. You know what? People really love that signing. It's fine. Mainly because it's on a free. You're still probably paying him too high of wages, but, it's on a free. So I'll give you a pass.
Yeah, most people probably didn't watch Tarkovsky at Burnley last season where he didn't play very well.
Yeah, but if they're going to be sitting back, he's I mean, it's bound to be better than whatever the hell they're touting out there last year.
Yeah, that's
But meanwhile,
true.
the media will
That's
tell
true.
you, oh yeah, Ben Godfrey to Tottenham for 30 mil. Brutal. Brutal. But they lose Richarlison, and they haven't brought anyone in attack. Now that's what's kind of strange to me.
Yeah.
I figured that they would probably be the team that goes after Dennis because they just copy Watford. I don't know why you copy Watford.
Not a team to copy.
I tweeted this out. They stole Watford's sponsor. They stole their idea of taking crap kits. They've stolen Richarlison, Ducare. It'll probably be Dennis too. I mean, they're just trying
Roy
to be
Hodgson
Watford.
next.
He's like just standing around, looking around. He has no idea
He
what's
very
going on.
well might be.
He could. I could see it. Ceiling/basement. Ceiling 12th. Basement relegation.
Yeah.
My question, didn't spend last summer, almost relegated. Didn't spend this summer.
And lost their best player.
It's got to beg the question, will they continue down this path? Now,
Has to.
the only thing I could say is that there is some sense of, Frank Lampard in his one successful year at Chelsea, when there is no expectations, smaller squad, younger squad, was able to get them the 4th place out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. No one had that happening, and he did it. Is there any way that just because I think Everton's too big of a club to not have like any pressure?
Yeah, I think this is different to Chelsea because Everton has a massive fan base that is, at the moment, very toxic.
Also, I was going to say, getting top 4 and not expecting to get top 4 is different than just like expecting to not be relegated.
Exactly.
Because relegation's like your hair's on fire.
There's already huge pressure on Frank Lampard, and it's not going to be that kind of season where it's just like, oh, look, we survived. Ha-ha. It'll be like, no, this is going to be very toxic the whole season. You might just survive like last season, but it'll still be really toxic, and you'll probably suck. You're not bringing in any players other than Tarkowski. You lost your best player. I mean, at this point, what can you do? Like, it's almost like they have to get relegated at this point. They're making mistake after mistake.
Yeah.
And they're paying for the consequences of it a few years down the line. The mistakes they made in terrible signings.
Hence why they can't spend now.
Why they can't spend now. It's a huge crippling effect that they have right now. And there's nothing they can do about it.
Even last year, like, we poked fun, and we were wrong. I'll be honest. We were wrong about Gray and Townsend. But, I mean, like, that was out of nothing. And then it went away after about a third of the season, 2/5 of the season. So, I don't know. What's your wrapping up conclusion about them?
They suck. They shouldn't be this high on the list. Bunch of cowards who can't be bothered to put in an ounce of effort. Lack of quality and lack of additions will prove detrimental.
We're moving them down to 18th.
Yeah.
Leeds is now safe. We're making Leeds safe. Everton's relegated.
Order in court. Order in the court.
Yeah.
Everton, now 18th.
Okay.
Congrats, Leeds.
Yeah, you're safe.
You're safe.
We wanted it
At
all
least you signed
along.
players.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Let's move on to the team that I can't believe you had them higher than me.
Shout out Southampton.
I can't believe I had them at 15th because I wanted the year before they're 15th. Last year they're 15th. I wanted them to get 15th for a third year in a row. I think that'd be funny.
They've reeled me in with some sneaky summer signings.
Headliners: James Ward-Prowse, Kyle Walker-Peters, Mr. Livramento, unfortunately injured right now, still a big part of their team. Personnel: 4-4-2. Rely heavily on the James Ward-Prowse experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of pens and free kicks. The attack, lackluster, mainly feels like they are in the same boat as Brentford at times, where the link up is just not there.
Yeah.
I think that's part for Brentford. It's Mbeumo. I feel like is just more of a winger or a striker, not necessarily like a cam. And for Southampton, I don't think McAdams is a cam. I think he is just a striker.
I don't
but they
think so
almost
either.
have to put him as like a false 9/cam.
Yeah, he's kind of the only one who can hold up the ball, but he's also like their best
And his
best
distribution
finisher.
isn't bad. It's just not great. And I feel like he would be better as just their regular striker. but they don't have anyone else to do it. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Defense is all right. I like the wide aspects of it. The central aspects I don't mind. It's just I wish Bednarak was someone else.
Right.
And then midfield, yeah, their feet are in cement at times, to say the least. Mr. Oriol Romeo.
Yeah, from open play, it's not good. It's like bottom 5 midfield. But, of course, James Ward-Prowse has the benefit of being good at set pieces, and that's the only reason that it's
Above that
somewhat
a little bit.
okay.
Yeah, it's like D+, C-.
But it's pretty bad.
Additions. Bazunu, goalkeeper he was the Man City guy, right?
Yep, 1 of 2.
Yes. Mara, who is a striker they got from Bordeaux. Lavia, who is another Man City guy, midfielder. Bottle of Ketchup, center back. And then we got Joe Aribo from Rangers.
Yep.
How about that?
Yeah, so they made a couple midfield additions.
Yeah.
I like to see
Nice.
that. Goalkeeper. It'll be interesting to see. Young goalkeepers, you never know.
Yeah. They're just going for the hit or miss.
Yeah.
And if not, you go back to Willie Caballero.
Yeah, shout out Willie Caballero.
Keys to success. Get some goals from somewhere other than, James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, relying on the free kicks. Che Adams at times looked good last season.
I
He
still
was
like
hurt.
him. I think
like
it's just
him.
they have to play him out of position because they don't have anyone else.
Yeah, and I think there was just such a lack of quality in terms of like an attacking midfielder or wide players that could get him the ball in dangerous places that he would have to drop back farther.
You get probably 2 to 3 plays or sequences a year combined out of Nathan Redmond and Theo Walcott, where you're like, okay, nice, thank you for helping the team. Otherwise, they're virtually useless.
I have a question for you.
What's that?
Is 4-4-2 the best formation for Southampton?
Well, I mean, realistically, it's more like a 4-4-1-1. I don't know. If they had another center back or two, I would say they could go back 3, or well, really back 5, because they'll be on the defense mostly. And you go 3 midfield, 2 up top again. But I don't know. It's so weird with their midfield. There's some guys where it's like, I kind of like them, but maybe if they're playing too much, they get exposed and I wouldn't like them as much. So I don't know. 4-4-2 is kind of like the ultimate generic formation.
Yeah.
We don't know what our identity is.
Right.
We're going to be balanced.
Bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see more of like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I just don't know what with the 4-3-3, who are the wide guys in attack? Like, I guess Armstrong and El Nuacy. And then you
Potentially.
pair that with just Adams up top.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Yeah. I think another midfielder would help because they play with 2 strikers a lot and it's just kind of a waste, honestly. Yeah. And you get overrun in midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when they were playing decent, they just couldn't convert on any chances and take advantage of their good spells of play.
The ultimate just missing sitters.
Absolutely.
Expected goals FC. Not expected goals.
The blooper reel on Southampton equals that of the rest of the league combined.
Yeah.
So many sitters missed. Terrible. I'd like to see Adam Armstrong get more of a run out. It seemed like he got played for maybe the first 10 games, and then Hassan Hoodle was like, no I'm done.
To be fair, he had to ride Broja for a while because Broja was the hot hand and he was clicking. But then Broja wasn't hot, and it's like, you would just put Armstrong back out there.
Yeah, and Broja was on loan.
Yeah.
You already spent 20, 25 mil on Armstrong.
Yeah.
You should at least give him a proper go.
Yeah, unless Broja was still clicking, that's the only way I'd get it, but he wasn't. So it's you might as well switch to Armstrong.
And I will die on the hill. I think Adam Armstrong, he can
he's
do
solid.
it.
Yeah. He's scored this preseason. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Ceiling 13th, basement 17th. So definitely low ceiling, high floor, I would say, for them.
Yeah. Tend to be more towards the lower spectrum.
Yeah. My question, can they get hot for a combined 2.5 month stretch of games and play subpar for the rest of the season and stay up again?
Probably.
That's all it takes.
They're pretty consistent, at least. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, consistent by being inconsistent in a way.
Yep. True.
What would you like to say to wrap up about Southampton?
I like the route that they're going with in terms of transfers, going for some young guys because they can't compete financially. I think that's been shown. So they needed to find something else. They found a little success. They saw, Livramento, that really worked last season. Let's try it again. Pick up a couple guys from Man City. Excellent choice.
Even a guy like Joe Aribo, I don't know, he better just start right away.
Yeah.
He was on Rangers last year, and they made a deep run in European football. He's a solid player.
Yeah, that's what you got to go
midfield.
for. You got to go for these guys who are solid or young guys. The solid guys, not flashy guys, but solid guys that can fill the gaps in the team. And then, hope that you can hit on some guys, some of the younger guys, like you did for Livramento. I know Man City, they have a really good academy.
Yeah.
So could be some good players coming out of that.
Moving on. 13th, we have Wolves. Might be a little lower than most people probably have them. Finished 10th last year.
13th, and I already feel it's too high.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I said my bold, spicy hot take prediction that you made me do last week. I said that they'd be near relegation territory.
At this point, I am feeling that.
Obviously, last year 10th. Headliners, Jose Sa, Connor Cody, and Ruben Neves. Personnel, 5-4-1, 3-5-2 action. They like to mix it up. Mr. Lodge, loving to do that, the skinny man himself. First half of the season, solid defense, carried the team despite the lack of goals. Lack of true goal scorer really became apparent when they're breaking out 3 counterattacks a game, and they looked really good at passing, and then the shot was just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last year, too. There's so many guys filling the same role. It felt like they just cloned, the same Portuguese guy. And it was what the hell is this? A counterattack ability there, but, finishing not so much. Midfield playstyle works. Is the quality and depth there? I don't know. Main addition, Nate Collins. I like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Especially towards the end of last year, they kind of went away from Kilman and back to Willy Bolly, and Willy Bolly needs to not be out there.
Please stop.
What's the keys to success?
Keys to success, obviously score more goals. They were one of the lowest scoring teams in the league.
Right next to Norwich.
But to counter that, their defense was one of the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a key strength, a key competency that Wolves had. They can rely on having a solid defense. Now they got Nathan Collins back there with Connor Cody. I think that'll be a great center back pairing if they go for 2 or if they go for 3 at the back. I still think it'll be solid.
I don't know if they'll go 3 at the back as much, only because they lost Saiz, and they haven't brought anyone in. So that's going to limit the amount you can do with that wide play.
Yeah.
So you might be seeing more 4 at the back, I would guess, but who knows?
Yeah, I did like Saiz in that 3 at the back role.
Until that stretch last year where he started he gave away 1 penalty and then he decided I'm just gonna give away 6 games straight penalties.
It didn't go great. Okay,
but no, he's a solid player. I liked him.
Unlucky, but the lack of attacking signings disappointing. Fabio Silva out on loan to Anderlecht.
You spent 30-some mil on him a couple of years ago.
But guess what? Like a new signing, Adama Traore back in the team.
You remember that guy?
That guy, the fast guy.
Yeah, the muscle man,
now
the oily man.
Now they can replicate the first third of the season where he looked good until the final third and then sucked.
I know I have that clip saved on my phone somewhere of him on a 2-on-1, not passing on the sweaty goal and just ripping it right off the crossbar. One of the funniest moments of last year.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, I guess my main question, where do the goals come from? Because you still have Jimenez as the link-up play guy. He's in the McAdams role of Wolves / Mbeumo role. It's if he's your striker, he's still not as good as he used to be, but he could probably get you at least 10. Since you have him further back, he's going to get you more 5 to 8.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to rely on Hwang Hee-chan to score all the goals? I mean, I like Hwang Hee-chan, but
he's hurt.
He's hurt, and I don't think he's shown enough to show this this guy can be the main goal scorer.
Him and Podence are more guys where it's like when they're hot, you just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
That's in a way, they're like slightly lesser versions of like Lanzini, except Lanzini's a little more midfield than those guys. Those guys are more attack. But like if the hot hands go and just feed them, let them do their thing. But when it's cold, and you can't just force them out there for 90 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And their best way might be to use those guys as subs. So
I like Podence. I
He's
think they
solid, but
might struggle in the
I don't
depth
know.
category up front. Obviously, they don't have Trincao. They loaned out Fabio Silva.
It's okay. They're rumored with Christian Benteke.
Rumored with Christian Benteke. Overall, I think
How funny would it be if he actually went there and got like 15 goals?
that would be funny.
And then,
It just seems like the club, they were run so well for those few years, getting into the Premier League and then, acquiring some nice Portuguese talents. But now it seems like it's kind of like,
can I tell you what it is?
what now?
Can I tell you what it is, Sam?
Yes, tell me.
All it takes for these teams, no matter what your project is, one or two bad signings, just whiffs, and the board is going to become very, very hesitant and unsure. Fabio Silva, sure, he could get good. He's only like 21. They spent 35 mil on him.
Yeah, that was a big L.
Yeah. Mr. Neto has been solid. He's kind of one of those guys who's good but hurt.
Yeah.
Again, they spent a decent chunk on him. I don't know. These teams, it's the same thing with Brighton. Like, Brighton used to spend a little bit of money, and then you buy a Johan Bosch, and you're not spending so much money now.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the money from the owners and
Leaves
the
a
board.
bad taste.
Yeah. So I think that's a main issue, but I don't know. I think the less you can have of certain guys in terms of less cooks in the kitchen, and you just have like Chan, Neto, Podence, those three rotating with Jimenez,
Yeah.
that's probably your best bet. Because when you take out Trincao and Silva, then you're not like, oh, well, maybe this guy will work in there. And maybe if you have three limited options, I feel like you're more likely to find success.
You just got to make it work.
Yeah.
And one big thing, they've been able to keep Neves so far. I mean, the window's
Yeah.
not closed yet, and it seems like there hasn't been too much interest, which
It's just United. That's
surprises me because, I mean, you see Arsenal and United linked to Tielemans. Personally, I'd rather have Neves.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And I guess maybe the price is a factor in that.
Tielemans would be about 30. Neves would probably be about 40. Now these teams, they lie and say, oh, we want
50 mil.
50 mil.
Yeah.
It's like you would take 40 mil.
Yeah.
Trust me. I could still see Neves to United because United don't have that much in midfield.
That'd be too sensible.
But even then, it's like I don't know. United still need more defensive aspect to their midfield, but they also
True.
need a 8. So Neves would fill that.
Yeah.
But I just worry about Wolves' depth, like you were saying. It's just it's hard. It's hard to look at.
Yeah, I just got this gut feeling like Wolves are going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
The shine has worn off.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Maybe the defense will carry them again this year, but if the
We'll
defense
see.
starts to kind of falter like it did towards the end of the season and
Yeah.
they're leaking goals and not scoring any goals, that's really bad.
Yes. Moving on. We were just talking about this team. Number 12, Brighton. Last year, 9th. How about that?
Great triumph.
We had them very high last year compared to most people.
Believers.
This year we have them back a slight bit. Headliners, Cucurella might be gone. Trossard, Dunk, Bobby Sanchez, had to sneak him in there. You know how to do to him. Personnel, switch between a back 3, back 4, a lot depending on availability. Ended the year playing at 3-4-2, 3-4-2-1. And they tend to change shape mid-game. Potter's very mid-game changes a lot of times, more so than other guys, I feel like. Good at keeping possession, but sometimes, just a little too conservative, and they just pass for the whole game.
And they never
Sideways.
shoot. And Graham Potter says, don't you dare yell shoot. Don't
Yeah.
speak that bad stuff into my players' heads. They shall not shoot until there's been 200 passes completed.
Yes.
And the perfect opportunity
to walk the
has
ball
arisen.
in. Yeah, literally walk the ball in backwards into the net.
That's the problem with Brighton. They always try and walk it in.
Midfield, we like their strength in midfield.
Yes.
Their defense, solid. It's mainly the attack that's cause for concern. Mm-hmm. I saw they might let Neil Maupay walk. I don't know if anyone's going to do that.
Yes, I saw they got offered £15 million by a Italian team that starts with an S. I can't remember.
Swasulo?
No.
Sampdoria.
It was like
It better not be
Saltalamacchia or something.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, they recently just got promoted.
Yeah.
They have like a weird. They're like Torino's badge mixed with like Newcastle's.
Yeah,
it's like a weird.
I
like,
don't
seahorse
speak
thing.
Italian, so arrivederci to Neil Maupay.
Yeah.
Someone offers you £15 million for
You
Neil
take
Maupay, I will drive him to Italy myself. But that does not address the fact that there's a gaping hole at the striker position.
Yes.
That has gone largely unaddressed for the past 4 years.
Do you think that there's any way Graham Potter would look at this and just say Trossard's the false 9 / striker? Just throw him up there, and we're going to load up more in the midfield.
Yeah,
Anyway?
Could. It just seems like so stupid not to try and bring someone in. I mean,
What about Danny Welbeck?
Danny Welbeck gets
He
hurt
was
a lot.
hot. He was hot.
Yeah, and he's like 33.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, why? Of course, Brighton, they're not a team to go out and splash the cash.
Yeah, we talked about this. When they did, it didn't go well.
I'd like to see them maybe go after like a championship tier striker.
Ben Brereton Diaz.
Someone. You know, I was thinking like, oh, what if they brought in Ivan Toney? But they're not going to pay for Ivan Toney.
No.
Even Dennis doesn't really seem like a Brighton kind of player.
He's Everton. We talked about it. They're trying to be Watford.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Timo
you know.
Pukki.
I could kind of see that. Brighton, if some team
No,
did.
how about this one? Adam Ida. Obviously, Norwich not going to sell him.
No, Norwich wouldn't sell him.
But I feel like he'd fit in well at Brighton.
He would.
He's got good link-up play.
He would, and I even if it was like a loan, the loan up. It's like when QPR got relegated and they kept Remy, and then they loaned him to Newcastle, and he had like a 15-goal year for
Yeah.
Newcastle. I could see that.
Then he went to Chelsea. Never forget.
I'm trying to. Is there anyone on Burnley? J-Rod? J-Rod?
J-Rod. All right, stop
Right.
this nonsense.
I really, I don't know. Sorry, Bright, we don't know the answer. We had a bunch of guys for you last year, like Edward and stuff, and then they all got snatched up because you don't spend money on anyone. So,
Yeah.
your additions, though, you have Julio Enciso.
And Cecil.
Let's see how he does.
Trademark random South American guy.
Yep. Simone Adingra.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
That's a guy.
Yep.
He's a guy.
Keys to success, consistent goal threat as long as they are going forward. I believe in you, Brighton. Eventually, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Ceiling/basement, ceiling 10th, basement 15th. My question, it's got to be asked. Losing Cucurella feels massive. How do they cope? Because I think he's going to go. Because he's made it sound to Brighton like he's ready to go to Man City.
Yeah, it seems like when Man City goes after guys, they don't miss.
No.
You know, it's like, okay, we want you, and like it's kind of a formality.
You're on our team now already. It's like a
Yeah.
brotherhood.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't made the transfer yet. Nah,
It
welcome
doesn't
to
matter.
the team.
He's here.
Come train.
Doesn't matter if he's. I don't know. What do you think the final number is going to be? They rejected £30 million. Brighton are holding out for 50.
I know
40?
a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's worth 50 million."
Nah.
I don't think he's worth 50 million.
No, especially he's going to be kind of filling in like the Zinchenko off the bench kind of role.
Yeah, I think
40 is fine, and that's a bit much, but it's the Man City tax, so 40.
well said.
Yeah,
Well
he's
said.
probably worth 30, but yes, you're Man City, so you have to pay more.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to wrap up about Brighton,
My conclusion.
other than Arrivederci to Neil Maupay?
Arrivederci to Neil Maupay, yes. My conclusion for Brighton. Great season last year, especially end of the season. They played really well. So a good base to build off of. It'll be interesting to see how they manage losing Basuma in the midfield
We didn't even talk about that really.
and also Cucurella.
Two massive guys.
I think they can do it without Basuma. Whether they can do it without Cucurella,
We did see them succeed at times without Basuma last year. Now, they were
Yes.
better with Basuma, no doubt. But
Yes.
They had moments where they could play without him, yes.
Yeah, the first half of the season, he was kind of not in the team all that much. He was dealing with legal issues and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they do have quality midfielders, Caicedo and Mwepu.
Yeah, and Mwepu a little more in attack, but I mean, they have a nice balance to their team
Yeah,
out there, so.
except for the lack of striker.
Yeah, of course.
Moving on to our last team of the episode.
I can't believe we got here already.
We're already here. Number 11, Crystal Palace.
Yes.
Last season, finished in 12th place. Have some wonderful players such as Wilfred Zaha, Mark Guehi, Olise, and I threw in Mateta because
I
shout
like
out
him.
Mateta.
I like
Underrated.
Mateta. Yeah, no, I mean, look at his conversion rate compared to most guys in the top 5 leagues in Europe. It's really high.
Yeah,
so
I think he's
like him.
sneaky good.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 24, still relatively young. Personnel, 4-3-3, a little 4-1-4-1 action as well. They love to press. They love to use pace, especially in wide space, break out fast. They utilize space very, very well. Very strong defensive shape. Able to play out of the back with both center backs,
Yeah.
yet not sacrifice too much defense with those guys. And we'll see. This might have been the last really good Joel Ward year you got this last year, and he might just kind of be now. But you have Tyreek Mitchell on the other side, who's fantastic.
Yes.
So I just love their shape and formation. Big additions: Doucouré, Johnstone. I'm not sure who's this guy.
He's like a 19-year-old.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be featuring much.
Okay. But
Ebio way,
Ebioe.
something like that.
Johnstone and net, fantastic for a free signing.
Yep, I like that.
Doucouré, only 18 mil. That'll be nice. I don't think it's a direct Gallagher replacement because he's a little more defensive-minded. But I think it might be a mix of Gallagher / MacArthur replacement because you can't really rely on MacArthur that much anymore. He was good last year, but
Didn't MacArthur leave on a...
No, he re-upped, I believe.
He re-upped, okay. Yeah,
but his contract was up.
I think that's a great piece of business. I think that was an area that they were kind of lackluster. When MacArthur wasn't playing, it was kind of a drop-off. When they had to play Milivojevic, that was really bad.
Stinky.
Kuyate is like super, super defensive-minded.
Yeah, he's almost literally just a center back.
Yeah. So I didn't really care too much for that either. So I'll be curious to see how Doucouré does. Hopefully he does well in that position.
Yes. And then Everton are saying, wait, no, we have the wrong Doucouré. No, wait. Keys to success: maintaining a high energy level, pressing hard, using wide areas to gain advantage. I mean, there is something about Palace kind of comes in with this, like, I don't know, swagger's not the right word, but like their mojo that they go into games with, where you can tell that they have a youthful exuberance about them, but they have enough vet experience as well to kind of stay grounded at the same time. I just love everything about this team.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a fearlessness that they play with when they're really rolling.
Mm-hmm.
They're not afraid of anything. They'll just punch you right in the face. They did it to Man City at Man City.
Yep.
I mean, that says all you need to know.
Yeah. No, and I mean, they have a fantastic manager in Vieira. We didn't know if he'd be good or bad or what he would be. I think he might not be great, but I think he's the perfect guy for the team.
I think he has potential to be great.
Yeah, very well could. Ceiling 10th, basement 14th. My main question, we've arrived at the point, how do you replace Conor Gallagher?
Yeah.
How do you replace that man? The attacking aspect of that midfield took a bit of a hit.
Yeah, obviously he was massive in the first half of the season. His production dropped off in the second half of the season, and they still were able to perform without him. I think they have quite an array of talent in the attack, so I'm not too worried. It'd be obviously anytime you lose a quality player like Gallagher, it's going to hurt, but I think they'll manage.
I think they can. I have faith in guys like Elise out there. Last conclusion to wrap it up.
Last conclusion, Palace, you were fantastic last season. Please follow it up with another good season this year. And if you do that back to back, you're heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Are there any teams that you changed besides Everton on this list, or does it feel right? No. I feel like it feels right, except Everton, I think they're worse than Leeds.
Yeah, I think Everton's really bad, and I think Wolves is pretty bad too.
Yeah, I just can't get there with Southampton over Wolves quite yet, because I at least know what Wolves' defense is, and Southampton's attack is still as a question mark, so I don't know. I can't quite get there.
It's pretty tough. I mean, you get
like I said, a lot of these are kind of mix and match.
There's
They're
not
really
much
close to each
that
other.
separates these teams.
Yes.
I think this year is one of the best years in terms of quality of the league overall.
If you broke down the tiers of teams, would it be cut off at Wolves and then Brighton starts a whole new tier of like even the teams that would be above them, like West Ham and Villa and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think those are like solid midfield contenders, whereas Wolves, Southampton, Everton, Brentford, I feel like those are teams that potential for disaster.
Yeah, I feel like Wolves and Southampton might be in their own like small mini class within that class of disaster where they're like
not going to get relegated.
They're D plus versus D.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But all in all, terrific preview episode, if I do say so myself.
Well, I say so too.
Good.
So it's not just you.
Good. Next Friday, we'll be back. Hopefully some more updates on some transfer going on and whatnot, but we'll be cracking into the top half of the table preview. Then, just like that, at the end of that podcast, there's going to be predictions. It doesn't even feel real. It's surreal.
Mind blown.
Wow.
Premier League's coming, boys. Buckle up.